Okay, so Work Together and On Your Own 6.3 is available to you. When we take a look at the directions for Work Together and On Your Own 6.3, it says use the worksheet below, which is the continuation of what we've done already in gold and tan, and we're going to extend the up-to-date balances to the balance sheet and income statement columns. We're going to rule a single line around the income statement and balance sheet columns, total each column, calculate the net income or net loss, label the amount in the account title column, and total and rule the income statement and balance sheets. Okay? All right, that's a lot of information. But we need to think back to what I just talked about at the beginning. Every one of these accounts that is listed under account title is either an asset, liability, owner's equity, revenue, or an expense. And you need to know the classification. The classification will determine whether it goes in the income statement or in the balance sheet column. It won't go in both spots. So let's think about this. In income statement, Scott already told us what account classifications go on an income statement. Revenue and expenses, because what are we doing? Just determining whether or not we've made money or lost money. And I've explained already that the balance sheet, the whole purpose of a balance sheet is to prove that our accounting equation equals. And what is our accounting equation? Assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. So if you remember the purpose and the classifications that go there, it makes this part a lot easier. So the first account that we have there, cash. What is the classification of cash? Asset. Okay? Where's it going to go? Income statement or balance sheet? Balance sheet. So this is all I do. I look at my cash account, $9,800, and I go all the way over here to my balance sheet, and I put it there as a debit. I'm not right now making debits and credits equal. I'm just transferring it from the trial balance to either the income statement or the balance sheet columns. Now, petty cash, the classification, asset, so it goes in the balance sheet. Accounts receivable, Ruby Price, same thing. Now, hold the horses. Supplies. I cannot put 456 for supplies in my balance sheet column. Why? We made an adjustment. So what do I need to do? I take 456. I subtract 131. I do not take 131. I have a debit here of 456, and I have a credit here of 131. So the difference is what goes over here on my balance sheet. And what is that difference? 325. I need to do the same thing for prepaid insurance. I cannot put 750 there because I have to take 750 and I'm going to subtract 250. So I'm going to put 500 on the balance sheet column. Now, accounts payable, Richard Navarro. Classification, liability. Liabilities are on our balance sheet because we're proving our accounting equation. So 555 is going to go on our balance sheet. Same thing as a credit, yes. Same thing for Gary Baldwin Capital. It's going to go on our balance sheet as a credit because that's where it is on our trial balance, as a debit or as a credit. Now, the last one that I'm going to talk about right now is going to be Gary Baldwin Drawing. And that is going to be for $3,400 as a debit on the balance sheet because Gary Baldwin Drawing is a contra account to owner's equity. It still is an owner's equity account, so therefore we're going to go through and put that on the balance sheet. So what I have right now in my balance sheet are assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. And that's what we need to prove in our accounting equation, that our assets equals our liabilities plus owner's equity. Now, can any other accounts go on the balance sheet? No. Everything else that's on here is what for classification? Expense or revenue. So I am not going to do anything else to this balance sheet column. I'm pretty much done with this. So what I have to take a look at now is I'm going to go right here. My next account that I have is income summary. Okay, we're not really using that account yet. Note that we're going to be using it in the future. We just know it's going to be there as a placeholder. You need it for now, okay? So income summary has nothing here for a balance. So the next one I have here is sales. Sales as a debit or as a credit? Credit. So it needs to go all the way over here on income statement as a credit. Then I'm going to do advertising expense as a debit. Now, hold your horses on insurance expense. What do you do? $250 as a debit. Now, this is what some people do real quick. They look here and say, oh, it's not a debit, it's a credit, because they see this there, and then they put it as a credit, and then things don't work. You need to realize that this is a debit, an adjustment. So if I take 0 plus a debit of $250, it goes here as a debit of $250. Yep. Jordan? Revenue and expenses go on your income statement. Assets, liabilities, and owner's equity go on your balance sheet. Okay, so your classification. So it'll either go here or there. It can't go in both. Okay. So I'm going to put insurance expense of $250 on my income statement. $378, $131, $1,100. Now, break out your handy-dandy little calculator, and you are going to get totals going all the way across, and they will not equal. They shouldn't equal right away, because what are we trying to determine? If we made money or lost money, right? Our net income or our net loss? So, hopefully you can add up your income statement credit column without a calculator. But just so you know that when you add across here, your debits and credits should not equal right away. Just take some time, get your calculator out, and add them up right now. All right. I realized I had the wrong number in petty cash. For some reason, I just switched my petty cash. It's supposed to be $150. I had the same amount for cash twice. So just to give you a heads up, I did fix that. So now, going across here, again, these numbers should not equal. When I look at my income statement columns, these should not equal. The purpose of an income statement is to determine if we made money or lost money. And if I look real quick right here, did I make money or lose money? Made money. How do I know? My revenue is $4,000. My expenses is $2,000. So which one's bigger? Revenue. So I have a net income. So the first thing I need to do is right here, I'm writing the word net income. If the reverse was true, I would write the word net loss. Now, I need to determine how much net income do I have. So I'm going to take $4,320 and subtract $2,790, and I got a net income of $1,530. Does anyone agree? $1,530? Looking for some assistance. Yes, thank you. Okay. Now, we know anytime we do things in happy accounting land, we got to make sure debits and credits equal. Would you agree? Okay. This is the second most common mistake on our worksheet. Okay, our second most common mistake on our worksheet is going through and calculating this. Can you keep that away, please? I know that I have a $1,530 net income. I need to get my income statement columns to equal. And I'm always going to add down on here. Does that make sense? So I'm going to put 1,530 here, because when I do that, what happens? They equal. But I have a debit here of 1,530. What else do I need? Can I have a debit without a credit? I'm going to put the credit then on the balance sheet, because I am adding that net income to our owners. Remember how we talked about that? If you have a net income, we're going to credit our owner's equity. So I'm going to take 1,530 and put it in both spots right away. Now, this is what students try to do. They know eventually my debits and credits need to equal in each column. They get one number here, and then they get another number here. That's not the whole point. We need to prove that our net income is correct. And how do we do that? By taking this number and putting it over here. Now, think about if it's a net loss. You are going to have a net loss assignment. The same thing's going to hold true Line 17 is not going to say net income, it would say net loss. And I would put it here as a credit and there as a debit. It's the same concept, you just have to reverse the numbers. So now what I need to do is I actually need to add down, and then my debits and credits will equal in my income statement and balance sheet column. The moment of truth is always when you take your balance sheet number, credit number, and add your net income. If it does not equal your debit amount, that's where you know you've made a mistake. Most common mistake that I see, and I'm not picking on Jordan, but when he was going ahead and trying to figure out how to do this worksheet, when you got to the spot where you needed to put in insurance expense and supplies expense, did you see how you put it as a credit? At first you did, Jordan, before I got to that point? That's a real common mistake. And so what would happen if you did that? This would be higher, would you agree? And your net income would not come out. It would not equal correctly. You would have known there would have been a mistake. So if you get to that point and it doesn't equal, let me know. And what I'll do is I'll come look at it and say, hey, double check it. Look at line 17 or look at line 15. I don't think you have your numbers in the right spot. Or sometimes you just need to add up. Because the fact that you don't know until the end, I always add my income statement debit column twice, my balance sheet column twice, my debits and credits. Usually you don't have to add up your income statement credit column twice because right now we're nice and simple. We only have one revenue account. Okay, so this is what a completed worksheet looks like. Go ahead and try on your own.